Hey there, folks. Well, it's springtime, my favorite season of the year. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like spring is a good time for nostalgia and retro gaming. So I'd like to share with you some of my best memories with my favorite system of all time, the Super Nintendo. It's funny, this fall will mark the 25th anniversary of the system. I wonder if Nintendo will do anything special. SNES Remix. But anyways, it was Christmas of 1991. I was 4 years old. My sister would wake my brother and I up at around like 5 or 6 in the morning. We go down to open our stockings, and my brother Aaron, I don't even think he opened his whole stocking. I think he had the box. It had it came with 2 controllers from Super Mario World, and we had this other room where we had an NES hooked up to this like old maroon colored TV. It was kind of like the gaming family area. But anyway, so Aaron, he just like grabbed the box and ran into the other room and hooked it up and started playing Super Mario World. This was the same Christmas that I got this right here. Like a lot of kids, I went through a dinosaur phase, so the Ankylosaurus was always my favorite. Still have it. Anyway, no, so he was playing. I don't remember too much else about that Christmas, but so he was playing Super Mario World, and the other launch titles that were with the Super Nintendo were SimCity, F-Zero, and Pilot Wings. And with F-Zero, I don't think he ever owned it, but I remember he rented it a number of times. And it was funny, it was with this original one, it was only 4 playable characters, yet there was so many other hovercrafts and stuff on the track, so we always thought that was kind of weird. But in the instruction manual, I remember there was a comic that showed, Captain Falcon and Pico and all of them interacting with all these other characters, so we're like, oh cool, that's like all the other, people that you don't see, all the other unplayable racers and stuff. Pilot Wings, I remember, there was a Funko Land, a Toys R Us that our stepfather Bob used to take us to all the time. And a few years ago, my brother and his wife bought a house, and that's ironically right down the street from that exact same Toys R Us. So anyway, we went there and he bought this one time. He bought Pilot Wings, not this particular copy, but yeah, this was we used to play this all the time. I remember Bob, our stepfather, he loved it too. I remember we used to, if Aaron was going to like a friend's house, like, spending the night over or something, they'd be like, oh, can we play Pilot Wings? And he'd be like, yeah, sure. So, yeah, but I always liked the skydiving for some reason. That was my favorite part of the game. Bob liked the plane, the flying, so we would take turns, like, doing the different things. Speaking of Bob, another game he really liked was this right here, Shoplifter 3. I don't remember the first 2 games, but I remember this one very fondly. It's pretty much like Defender, but with a military helicopter. I definitely recommend picking this up. It's an excellent game. I think you can still find it pretty cheap. But yeah, he used to love playing that game. So did our sister too, Noelle. Speaking of Noelle, a game we used to play with her all the time was the Bomberman games. I remember Aaron's friend Matt, and I would always hang up on Noelle and surround her with bombs. We'd be like, bye, Noelle. And then, in 1992, that was a pretty big year. That was the year that Legend of Zelda Link to the Past was released. I used to play that all the time when I was a kid. I know Aaron still has the physical copy. I think he still has the box, too. That was a good game. Most considered to be the best in the series. This was also the year that there were a number of accessories, including the mouse, the mouse pad, which came bundled with Mario Paint. Now this was a very unique game for the time. At this point, it is definitely outdated, because our programs have come so far and evolved. But it's still pretty fun to pick up and play occasionally. And what's nice is that I used to play that all the time when I was a kid. A nice thing is that there actually are other games compatible with the mouse. This one I happen to have. It's called King Arthur's World, which I guess somebody got this at a video store because it's got like writing on it or something. But anyway, yeah, this is an interesting game. It's kind of reminds me of Lemmings in a way, but it's medieval. And there are actually other games that are compatible with the mouse as well, so which I might pick up 1 or 2, so which it'll be kind of nice, to have a variety for the accessory. It's a little silly to have just one, or maybe that's just me. In 1993 was when, what the hell was it? Sorry. 1993, Star Fox hit the scene. You know, brand new Nintendo franchise. I was obsessed with this game when I was a kid. You notice that Fox looks like a puppet? That's because Miyamoto had a thing for puppets. That's why, you know, why they're also in the N64 game, where it's like, you know, like they talk like this and stuff. But, yeah, but obviously today the graphics are kind of tame, but it's still a very fun game to play. I'll dig this out and play it any day, really. So can't wait for Star Fox Zero. You know, it's funny. I think this game had a lot of inspiration from Tron, like with the shapes and stuff. And it's, yeah. And I feel like over the years you've obviously seen a number of platforming characters come and go. I think you saw a lot of that during the 16-bit era. You know, characters like Earthworm Jim, Booger Man, Arrow the Acrobat, Plock, Bubsy. I liked Bubsy. I know he is kind of... There's mixed opinions about him, but I always enjoyed his games. I thought they were pretty fun. These are the kind of games you'd rent from like the arcade over the weekend or something, the video store over the weekend. But Bubsy, yeah, he spawned on a number of sequels. He was also on the Sega Genesis. There was a couple of Bubsy games. Yeah, basically once he transcended into the 3D world, that was kind of what put him in the doghouse, so to speak. Another thing that came along during the 16-bit era was fighting games, such as Clay Fighter. And yeah, obviously the biggest ones were Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and many fighting games tried to compete with that, especially Mortal Kombat games tried to kind of emulate the fatality system, since that was what made Mortal Kombat unique. Kind of like, I think it was called Brutal. It was very similar to Mortal Kombat, but it was medieval. You know, it had fatalities and stuff. It's an interesting game. Another interesting game for the Super Nintendo was a fighting game, Rise of the Robots. Now this game, it was kind of hit and miss. You know, it had some good things and some bad things. But like on the positive side, it had some very cool and impressive cutscenes, especially for a, you know, old cartridge from the early mid-90s. And the music is awesome. I love this. I got the soundtrack to this a number of years ago. But on the negative side, the controls and battle animation are a little stiff. And one of the major flaws of the game is that you can only play as one character, which is this blue humanoid robot on the cover. And then you do arcade mode, you play as him, you fight all these other robots, including like a construction one and one that looks like a grasshopper. But the two-player mode, you could play, player 1 would play as him, and player 2 would play as could be all the other robots. So I remember, this kind of brings me to a funny story. Remember Quick Ava? It used to be Quick Ava, it was a coffee shop. There was a branch of them. It went out of business a number of years ago. They couldn't compete with Dunkin' Donuts. But I remember they had these really good cinnamon buns, probably the best I'd ever had. So one time my brother had rented this, and we were switching back and forth with the controller so we could be different characters. And our mom got us cinnamon buns from Quick Ava, and I had eaten mine with my hands while playing the game, while I was saving his for later. So we were playing the game, and you know, obviously the sticky residue and stuff from the cinnamon buns, I had it all over my fingers, and I didn't tell Aaron about that. So, you know, when we went to switch the controllers back, he was like, "Oh, what the hell did you do?" I'm sure he probably remembers that. He's probably watching this right now thinking, like son of a... But, it reminds me, another thing that was cool with the Super Nintendo was the Super Scope. I don't have one. I might buy one in the future, like, just for, you know, collector's purposes or whatever. But, Aaron has one, and it was fun. One of the games that we used to always play was Metal Combat, which was really cool because it was used the Super Scope, and you'd fight all these different like robot mechs and stuff, and you could look in the instruction manual. It showed like the pilots of them and stuff. And for two-player mode, which was really cool, was player 1 would use the Super Scope, and player 2 would use the controller, and they would, control the robot on the screen, shoot each other and stuff. But we used to do that all the time. A funny side thing, my brother Aaron, he also has a YouTube channel. He does game reviews and Let's Plays, which he calls Fantastic Fridays. I'll put the link to his channel in the description. But anyway, because I've been in a number of his videos, and for one of his game reviews, he wanted me to, there was a part when I used the Super Scope, so he takes it out of the box and hands it to me and everything. He says, "How many years has it been since you held that?" And I was like, probably 20-something. I remember in 1994 was when Super Metroid hit the scene, as well as Donkey Kong Country. And Donkey Kong Country, I remember Aaron had this VHS tape that, it was like this guy, I think he got it from Nintendo Power, like part of the subscription or something, but he had this VHS tape that was probably like 20 minutes long. There was some guy who went behind the scenes of the making of Donkey Kong Country. It was really cool. I think we used to watch that even after the game was released, and he owned it and everything. Now Super Metroid, excellent game, by the way. I remember a friend of ours, a friend of the family, Woody, that's her nickname, very nice. She used to babysit us all the time. And one time, Aaron's friend Matt, who I mentioned earlier in the video, he was over one day, because I think it was a Sunday, she was babysitting us, and Matt was there. And she took the four of us, Aaron, Matt, Noah, and myself, over to BJ's. And Aaron got Super Metroid as well as the original Metroid for NES. So, we also picked this up, the movie We're Back. Well, my mom was at work. So, naturally Aaron and Matt went to play Super Metroid, while the rest of us, Noelle and I were watching We're Back, and it came with stickers of like all the characters and stuff, so we drew a picture and put all the stickers on it. We each picked one of the characters or something. Yeah. Now I remember in 1996, my birthday in 1996, it was one of the best days of my life. I was in 3rd grade. I remember my mom picked me up from school and she had a present for me, to open while I was there, just to, to hold me, even though the house was like 5 minutes away, but whatever. I think we kind of turned into tradition, but that present was this right here. Street Fighter 2, the first Street Fighter game aside from the first Street Fighter 2 game. I still have the box, and there's the game. But anyway, so that was one. Another present I got from that day was Mega Man X2. With it's all in here. There's the instructions. I don't have the instructions to Street Fighter, those are around here somewhere, and there's the game. Yeah, because I have the box and instructions, I think this goes for over $200 or something like that, but it's like, hold on to it, it's a good game. I'll put that back together in a minute, when I'm done with the video. I remember one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo was this right here, Peacekeepers. Now, another person wrote on this. I'm glad I got this when I did, because I think this goes for like $60 or $70 now. It's definitely a hidden gem. It's a beat 'em up, my favorite video game genre. And we used to play that all the time. That was another game I was obsessed with. I remember we started off as a game, we rented it a number of times, and then we eventually bought it, or I should say Aaron bought it. But, the characters... If you remember Brawl Brothers, that's more of a well-known title by Jalico, which is the same company that made this game. I think Peacekeepers is actually a prequel to Brawl Brothers. Brawl Brothers is on the Wii Virtual Console. I think it's on the Wii U one, but I'm not sure. Like I said, it's a more well-known title. Eventually, I got my own controller. We decided, maybe Aaron should have his own controller. And it was actually this one right here, the SN Pro Pad. I might pick that up at some point. Another one just for this. But it was cool at the time that, to see because it was translucent, it shows all the little, how the little mechanisms work inside the controller. And that was amazing at the time. Now it's a little it's a little old news, but, at the time it was really cool. I don't know what happened to mine. I probably threw it out or something, but, like I said, I'm probably going to get another one. And it was funny, it came with like a turbo pause button. What it did was, I mean, it was a slow motion button. It was a little switch that said slow, and what it would do is it would keep pausing the game. So like a lot of games, such as Peacekeepers, for example, you know, when you pause the game, it goes like, so it literally just, the game would just keep going. You push the switch, the game would just keep going, and it would just keep pausing, so it would look like the game was going in slow motion. And it was funny, we tried doing it with, I remember we tried doing it with Mega Man X, and because, you know, Mega Man games, the pause screen is also the menu screen, so it didn't really work, because it's, you know, it just keeps bringing up the menu screen. It was kind of hard to work with. My neighbor Robert, he also had a Super Nintendo, and a game that we used to play the hell out of was this right here, King of the Monsters 2. Yeah, we played this game like religiously. Like, I don't even remember. I can't even remember how many times we played this game. It's got to be well over 100, maybe a couple hundred. Another game we used to play that I think I got for Christmas in '96, or maybe '97, whenever it was released, was Tetris Attack. That was another game we used to play all the time. This was a really fun game. And I remember playing the we would do like the arcade mode and we would take turns. And it was a thing. I got this from if you ever saw Jetsons Meet the Flintstones. Long story short, Fred is he's playing poker. You know, Fred Flintstone is playing poker, and he's got a really good hand, like all kings or something. He's like ooh 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 ooh, like all excited and stuff. So I turned it into like a thing. I was playing Tetris Attack at Robertson. He was currently playing, and I was just like giving him like, oh, look at this move over here and stuff. And I would see a good move, and I go ooh 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 ooh, and then, you know, I just kept doing it, and then, you know, I was playing, and then he started doing it. We turned it into a thing. We kept going back and forth, and his mom, very nice, but she's got kind of like a truck driver personality. She was like, what the hell are you guys doing in there? You sound like a bunch of idiots or something. It was hilarious. Sadly, going into like the late 90s and stuff, you know, PlayStation 1 was coming out, N64, then the Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, so on, you know, so the Super Nintendo kind of started to phase out. But there was times we would dig it out. I remember we went to Funko Land at one point and picked up games like Battletoads Double Dragon, Joe and Mac, some of the Star Wars games, because they still had them there. Or that might have been I think it was Funko Land still. That was probably when I was in junior high. So sometimes we would dig it out and play it. You know, and again, time goes on, buy a new system, Super Nintendo gets tucked away. And then in 2013 was when I started building my retro game collection. And that was when I got my own Super Nintendo, which is this one right here. You know, and the only games that I've... Tetris Attack, Street Fighter, and Mega Man X are the only games I've had since I was a kid. All the other ones all these other ones I bought in over the years. This isn't even half of my games. I have more, and plus there's more I'll be picking up over time as well. But, yeah. So, anybody else feel that way about retro gaming? You know, springtime? Is it just me, or... But, hey, why not? You know, so... But, those are some of my best memories with the Super Nintendo, so... Thanks for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, share, and subscribe, and... I'm gonna go play some Super Nintendo. I think that... Wait a minute, where's the game...